We can look at it, if we think about humans, okay, we're mammals. This is the field, these are the organisms we want to study. Now, when we do some research, we depend on single-celled bacteria, okay? Yes, very important in the research field. If we look at an organism as a whole, okay, we usually learn about the organism as a whole, surgery, for example, how medicines might affect us, how certain chemicals could affect us, okay? Now, the problem with being able to study this as a whole, all right, there are a lot of laws that govern our research. We can't just simply saw the top of somebody's head off and root around in there with a stick and see what happens, okay? There are laws that are going to govern that. However, if someone were to happen to have brain surgery, usually the doctors will say, you know, can you sign this release, blah, 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 so that they can, you know, take what they learned from that surgery and apply it to matters across the board. So we've learned a lot. And of course, in the really early days, you know, people actually robbed graves and that sort of stuff. And then at wartime, I think it was from, I can't remember what war it was, but it was when, you know, they would use the muskets, which meant you had like that huge heavy lead ball, okay? And when it shot, you know, it basically, I mean, like if the person got shot in the arm, well, because that was so huge, you know, it basically shattered the bone. People had to cut their arms off, okay? Have you ever seen that like in the movies and stuff? Well, there was this man that got shot in the stomach, survived, but he ended up left with this hole in his stomach. Well, the doctors took advantage of that, and it's how they learned a whole lot about, you know, the acidity of the stomach, the digesting of foods, because they would take a piece of food on a string, drop it down through the hole, and watch what happened. You know, so yeah, really cool, you know. So that's how, you know, certain things have come about. Now, as an organism and as a living organism, something that becomes very important, especially to keeping up with those characteristics of life, we've got to maintain homeostasis. What is homeostasis? We have to maintain our internal environment. Homeostasis. Let me think here for a second. I mentioned that we're not static, okay? We're dynamic. We're in motion, all right? But they tell me that the average temperature of my body should be 98.6. They. Okay? Does everybody know what I mean when I say they? Somebody sitting in a room came up with something that said, average temperature should be 98.6. Do you walk around 98.6 all the time? Do some people maybe run a little higher, a little lower? Okay? But does that temperature that you're going to maintain, that you're going to have, should it be maintained? What happens if that temperature goes too high?
Proteins denature.
Okay, somebody remembered bio. Okay, proteins where that they're concerned about the most?
Like enzymes won't start functioning well.
They look at a whole lot of it in the brain. Okay, because the high temperatures basically fry the brain. Now, there's an importance to these proteins, these enzymes that you guys mentioned. Okay, what do you remember from general bio about a protein? First of all, what makes up a protein? Amino acids. So that's going to tell me that I've got amino acids strung together. Is that correct? How many different structures occur? Well, I'm a little ahead of myself, but since we've mentioned it, okay, how many levels occur? How many levels of structure can occur for a protein? 4. Got a primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. Primary is simply these amino acids strung together. Amino acid, amino acid, amino acid, amino acid, right? If that begins to fold or bend, that's my secondary. If that begins to fold in on itself, that's my tertiary. If I get 2 or more tertiaries together, for example, hemoglobin, which is what? Carries where? Is that important? Why? What needs it? Every cell of the body needs it. Now, think about that, okay? That's 4 tertiaries put together, okay? That's a quaternary structure. So you get 2 or more tertiaries together, you got a quaternary structure. Now, something as important as hemoglobin, okay? If I were to denature that, which would happen, could happen, at a time of high temperature, what am I going to do? All right, so let's take it from this big level up here where everybody's like, oh, you're just going to die. Yeah, okay? But let's bring it down, okay? Because everything I want you to think about in the class, I want you to think about at the cellular level, okay? So I denature that hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is not going to carry oxygen. Every cell of the body needs oxygen. If I can't get oxygen to every cell of the body, cell's not going to live. Cell's not living, organism's going to die. Ta-da! Did you see how I got you to? That's how I want you to start thinking in my class. Okay? Now, getting back to homeostasis. Okay? Homeostasis. All right, so somewhere they tell me that 98.6 is my norm. All right? That should be my set point. Okay? But I'm not static. Okay? There are things about the body, okay, they're going to have to move, okay? It's just not simply, just as a bump sitting on a log, not doing anything. There are things that are going to happen, okay? So, temperature's going to go up, temperature can go down, temperature can go up, temperature can go down. But the body has a way to make sure that we maintain it within a range that will be norm. So for example, if I'm supposed to be here, but I'm up here, I'm moving around, I'm talking, because I'm not going to stand still, okay? And I have to talk with my hands, okay? So I'm up here, I'm moving, okay? My temperature's probably doing what? Going up just a tad, okay? What is it going to do to my body to make it come back down? What is the controls up here in the primitive parts of my brain going to do to my body to make me come back to 98.6? I'm going to sweat. See? Then, if I do decide to get really, really still and just kind of talk to y'all from this point over here, but let me go over here so that I can change use my finger to change my PowerPoint so that I can just stand up here and I can say, well, homeostasis is going to be our set point, the ideal normal value of a variable. What's the set point for body temperature? Well, let's see if we look at our graph, 98.6, 98.9.4, see how we have. I think my temperature is going to do a whole lot. What about y'all's? There you go. Okay, but going down, because number one, I'm going to bore you to death. Okay, number two, you're going to be like, if I don't hurt, get out of here. So you're going to be sitting there like, but you might sit there anyway. Hey, I don't care. I'm up here, I'm moving around. I gotta be moving. I gotta keep going because that's the way I do. Okay, but hopefully at the same time, that keeps y'all engaged with me a little bit. Okay, so homeostasis is going to become important. It's very important because homeostasis, if it's not in the limits of what the body should be keeping, things are going to go wrong. And things can go wrong to the point of death. So how does the body maintain homeostasis? We have feedback systems. The feedback systems, negative and positive feedback, for the most part, the way that the body is going to maintain homeostasis is with negative feedback. For the most part, the way that the body is going to maintain homeostasis is with negative feedback. Positive feedback feeds the cycle, and that is not always a positive action. Negative wants to bring the conditions back to normal. There are things that are needed, these components, for the body to take the information of your surroundings, not just take information from the surroundings around your body, but to also collect information from inside the body, because this information is going to be monitored by primitive areas of the brain. Now, when we get to studying the structure of the brain, you're going to sort of understand what I mean when I say primitive. Okay? Primitive is going to be the area of your brain stem. All right? But at this point, we don't really need to get into that much detail about that. But there are mechanisms that are present that are monitoring conditions inside and outside your body 24/7, 365, 366 if it's a leap year. Okay? Now, information is going to be sent to the primitive area of your brain, and a response will be sent back. In order for that to occur, we need a receptor, we need a control center, and we need an effector. Now let me tell you what those are.